the sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I consider impossible is losing. I've been waiting on the sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I consider impossible is losing. On the sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I consider impossible is losing. I've been waiting on the sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I consider impossible is losing. On the sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I consider impossible is losing. I've been waiting on the sidelines for a long time. Now I'm finally getting in the game. It's about time. This is my time. This is my time. The only thing I
Oh, I hate whenever I start talking and I be muted, man. Thank y'all for letting me know, man. Welcome back to TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. Hit that like button on your way in the building. Miami Dolphins Vic Fangio gets it. First interview gave me great optimism. Here's why. We're going to talk about that and a little bit more. Again, punch that like button on your way in the building. We should be good now with the audio. Y'all verify yes or no. Is the audio good? Now hear you. Cool. We're good. All right. So, listen, ladies and gentlemen. Vic Fangio basically did an interview with Travis, and I'm going to play a clip of the interview. And it's kind of reiterating what I've been telling y'all, but I want y'all to hear some of it yourself. Let's see here. All right, here we go.
And we've seen the concepts and rules of, let's call it the Vic Fangio defense, kind of trickle down throughout the National Football League over the course of the last several years. As you kind of step back and see the footprint that you've left on the NFL, do you take a sense of pride in that?
Oh, I don't know. You know, it's, I guess,
So he's hesitating.
imitation is the best form of flattery, that or something like that. But, you know, I'd prefer it not being that way because, you know, offenses get used to attacking it. And so
That's the important part. This is what I've been talking to y'all about whenever we talked about bringing Fangio in. I told y'all a lot of teams do run his scheme now. He was innovative when he created the scheme in pre-snap, post-snap. He was innovative, and that's the beautiful thing about Fangio, the innovation. The problem is, like he just said, is the simple fact that he wished other teams didn't do it because now offenses basically get used to it. So you have to be creative in finding new ways, new wrinkles, or just, making adjustments. So listen to it again.
you know, it's, I guess, imitation is the best form.
NFL. Do you take a sense of pride in that?
Oh, I don't know. You know, it's, I guess, imitation is the best form of flattery, that or something like that. But, you know, I'd prefer it not being that way because, you know, offenses get used to attacking it. And so we always have to adjust and come up with new things. But, yeah, I think it's good that teams have tried to copy it to some degree and, you know, because they've seen it be successful.
And that's what it boils down to. I know he realizes that teams are starting to figure it out with that scheme. But the beautiful thing about Fangio is he recognizes that. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to hear from, because don't y'all hate the stubborn coaches? Don't you just hate the stubborn coaches? System works, come in with it. Even though the league done figured it out, they just keep on running it, thinking that out that system. That's why he said, I wish it wasn't that way, where everybody, a lot of teams are using it, because now the more teams use it, the more quarterbacks get used to it and they start to be able to handle it. And you saw that last year, and I showed y'all the six defenses that ran that system absolutely got obliterated. But just to hear him somewhat recognize that teams starting to figure it out with a defensive mastermind, and then him saying, making the adjustments. So you just have to make the adjustments. That made me hopeful, because I just hate the coaches that have a system that's been figured out, but they just want to be stubborn and keep doing that. Keep doing that system. And to hear him recognize that basically, it's becoming easier to basically figure out, but you got to make the adjustments. That's what we're banking on. That's what we will be banking on in his system. What type of adjustments will he make? And will they be the right ones and the appropriate ones? He also goes on later to say, in his time off, he got some new play coverages that he wants to try out. I love that, man. And this is what I was concerned about. I was concerned that he'd come in with being stubborn when the data shows that his original system has somewhat been figured out. I was just hoping we don't have a stubborn Vic Fangio. But it looks like that's not what we're going to have. We're going to have a guy who still has that creative brain that wants to be innovative and figure it out. Let's play a little bit more of this.
Often imitated, never duplicated, right? That's how it goes. That's what you want to.
That's right.
Hallmark of your defense. So you were able to take some time away this year and not be involved with the team, through most of the season until the Eagles the last couple of weeks for the Super Bowl. What did you take from that time away?
It was a good time. I spent it well. I treated it like a college professor on a sabbatical. I had a full video setup of everything in the league, just as if I was a coach in somebody's office, and studied a lot of different situations and facets of the game, and it was very, very good for me, and already come up with a new coverage or two that I'm anxious to try out.
So that's one of those things where you
just beautiful to hear that. Already came up with the coverage or two. Very excited.
take some time off, but you can never really get the coach out of the coach. You're always looking at tape, right?
Oh yeah, it was time off, but
Let's
Your
go.
journey brought you down here
Let's
to
go back to the
time
video
is,
real
I
quick.
think there's a quality football team here this season.
In your
Let's
experience
go
when
back
moving
the
to a new
beginning.
team, looking for players for your defense, what stands out most about those incumbents that you like? Is it talent? Is it fit? Is it coachability?
Well, it's all that, but I really like to have wipe the slate clean, and I don't really like to watch too much of what they've done in the past. I like to get out there, work with them, and form my own opinions without being influenced by what may have happened in the past. But obviously, if we have a free agent that we're thinking about, signing, that one of our current players that contract's up, and the Chris and management want my opinion, I'll look at them. But I like to give everybody a clean slate and form my own opinion.
Now, that clean slate comment, it's a great thing and it's a concerning thing for our franchise. And let me tell you why. So I like the approach of clean slate because you don't know what them previous coaches were doing. It may just be the coaching, right? Here's the issue with the clean slate piece, though. It's tough for us because we're in a window. So being like I said, we're in a 2-year window, y'all. Being in a 2-year window, when you give everybody a clean slate, sometimes you got to live with them for a year. And what I mean by that is, Landon Roberts may turn out to be the worst linebacker for his system. Not saying that he is, but he may. Just give you the example. Clean slate means you're going to have an opportunity to show. Because you're not really going to be able to prove whether you're the guy until training camp, but free agency and the draft is already gone. And that's why I told y'all the only concern I have with Fangio is I personally believe that half of this defensive personnel fits what he wants to do, the other half doesn't. So when you get the clean slates, we're going to war with pretty much this core, and he could either make them fit it or he could just realize, this guy and that guy isn't what I need. I need this, but that's another year gone by. You know what I mean? So the clean slate thing is all good. I just hate the fact that we're in a 2-year window. And I told y'all this a few weeks ago with Fangio. I said, he's going to be perfect for us. The problem is, for him to be his best, he needs to bring in his personnel, the guys on the team that he wants. And that could take a little bit, especially if you're going to do the clean slate direction. Now, he will look at some players that are on a contract. I wonder if he's referring to Byron Jones' clean slate. All of that. Clean slate is a clean slate. All of that matters. But yeah, and also the coaching staff ain't safe. I want to see what they do with that. The coaching staff ain't safe. He said, I want to bring in people who can teach. Remember, that was the issue with Flores, y'all. We needed to bring people in who could teach. Not people who could just coach, but people who could teach. There is a difference, man. And Fangio wants to bring in people who could teach. And which is true, that's what we need. People who can teach. And we've been through this. Who on our roster has been developed? What linebackers been developed? What defensive lineman been developed? What secondary member been developed? With the exception of maybe Kohu, but again, that's a small sample size. So Fangio's going to be looking to bring in guys who can teach, and maybe the guys who are here he finds that can teach, or he gives them a fresh slate to see, which again is a whole year of evaluating. This team is in an evaluation stage, and that's the only thing. That's the only thing I worry about. Will we approach this from an evaluation standpoint, or are we going in? Or are we going in? So time will tell, and we are about to find out. And we have to find out. We need to know. give them this. But yes, that's not false. Look at the Giants. I'm not sure what you're talking about, PJ. There is no such thing as a window. Things change year to year. It's all about drafting and having a competent coaching staff. I'm not sure what you're talking about at all. There is a such thing as a window. What does the Giants have to do with the window? What does the Giants have to do with a window? Matter of fact, the Giants are one of those teams that have it the worst because they're stuck in that middle phase where they need to pay a quarterback. They need to figure out the running back. Technically, they're still rebuilding. Just because they overachieved and made the playoffs, that's no different from a 10-win Brian Flores team. To say there's no such thing as a window, really? That's beyond false. It's beyond false. Some teams have to sit down for a year or two because they were in a window. Some teams know that they're going to be bad for a year or two because they just got out of their window. The Green Bay Packers for the last 3 years were in a window. And it's come to an end. The Buffalo Bills were in a window. And trust me, their chance of winning the Super Bowl is way less than it was. It's come to an end. The only way that you defy windows is if you have a Patrick Mahomes, those type of guys. Generational talent. It's the only way you defy windows. And again, they weren't in a window because what did they do? They still didn't overpay people all on their roster. You put yourself in a window when you overpay players. When you go for broke and put everything out there. Because it's not sustainable unless you are an elite drafting team. If you can draft at an elite level, then there is no such thing as a window. It's that simple. There are teams that aren't in the playoff window, make the playoffs every year. It's all about coaching and stuff. Yeah, but they don't do nothing. A window is all about Super Bowl, not the playoffs. Any window is specifically about Super Bowls. That's it. That's what the window is. This is your window that gives you the best chance to win a Super Bowl, not make the playoffs. We're not talking, this is your window to make the playoffs. No. Every window is about Super Bowls. Super Bowls only. PJ Max said, that's what I meant, TD. If you draft well, there's no such thing as a window. Yeah, but your comment was there is no such thing as a window. When there is. And even when you draft well, there's a window because you have to constantly draft well. Because even the players you draft end up coming up for their money. And nobody in the NFL constantly drafts that well. You may have a 10-year period where you draft well, but everybody has their slumps. Leave it to the Dolphins. We just slump every year, though, to a degree. Great teams like the Chiefs aren't worried about a window. I kind of disagree. Well, they still worry about a window. It's just right now when you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you extend that window. But Travis Kelce, if I'm going to take the approach that he got 2 more years in the league, just say that, right? Maybe more. Then that window, because replacing a guy like that will alter that team. See, they could replace Tyreek because Travis Kelce is the big dog on that team anyway, and that's what people didn't understand. Travis Kelce is the end zone threat. It's about points, not yards, people. Patrick Mahomes just won a Super Bowl throwing for 180 yards. It's about, but 3 touchdowns. You see what I'm saying? It's about points, not yards. Let's make sure we get that straight, ladies and gentlemen. It's always about points, not yards. Points. I know that as of late, we want to make everything about yards because certain people have gotten some at a higher level than normal. But it's always been about points, not yards. Points win games, not yards. And Travis Kelce on that team gets points. He ain't worrying about yards. When Tyreek was on that team, he got yards. Just like with Miami, he got yards, not points. The amount of touchdowns Tyreek had this year is actually a failure of what it should have been. To have 16, 17, 18, whatever 100 yards he had, and to have the touchdowns he had, 7 or something, that's unacceptable, honestly, but nobody want to talk about that. Nobody want to talk about that. That is highly unacceptable to have that many yards and only the amount of touchdowns he had. That is a failure. You got to have touchdowns. What Tyreek did in Miami, he did not bring to what he did with the Chiefs, he did not bring to Miami. And that's what people need to understand. Now, if Tyreek would have had 1,100 yards and he would have brought the 14, 15 touchdowns with him to Miami with 1,100 yards, his season, in my opinion, would have been way better than what it was. People don't understand that. They're looking at just the yards. If Tyreek Hill punched in 14, 15 touchdowns this year with 1,100 yards, it would have been way better than what he did. That alone has to be at least 2 to 3 more wins. But all we care about are the yards. All we care about is the yards. But to be fair to Tyreek Hill, I think he did enough to get the yards this year. And I think he did enough to get the touchdowns this year. But there's a reason he didn't get the touchdowns this year. We're going to leave that alone. Because he played at a level he should have gotten those touchdowns. But certain other components of the team need to be improved for him to have that level of 14, 15 touchdowns. That's one of the biggest areas we need to improve at on this team. But we're going to leave that alone. We ain't going to talk about why that was. We're going to be positive. We're going to be positive around here. Stop y'all. Y'all need to stop making all them negative assumptions in the comment section. Y'all leave my quarterback alone. Leave my quarterback alone. It wasn't his fault. It was the O-line. It was the drops. It was all that stuff. Y'all leave my quarterback alone. But yeah, it's about touchdowns and not yards, people. That's why Mahomes did not even have an impressive, explosive game in the Super Bowl, but yet he scored 3 touchdowns. He scored 3 touchdowns. Phenomenal. It's just how it works. Can blame him for not being healthy. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Wide open, TD. Well, yeah, I understand that Tyreek was wide open. He was open a lot in Kansas City. Not as wide open, but he was open at a high rate in Kansas City. You know? It's what Tyreek does, and that's what you want to give your quarterback. That's a quarterback-friendly guy. That's what you want to give him, a guy who can get wide open. Mahomes benefited from it. The only difference is Mahomes doesn't require it. Obviously, right? He just doesn't require it. But he benefited from it when he had it. It was a luxury for Mahomes. It's a requirement for us. We have to have that level of wide receiver for us to have the ultimate success. And again, that ain't knocking nothing. At least we're doing what's necessary. Tyreek had a lot of 2 TD 80-yard games in Kansas City. No, I know he did. I know he had some explosive years. I'm just saying, when you go look at the statistics, Travis Kelce is consistent every year with what he has. Tyreek has an amazing year. That year he didn't get as many. Then he has an amazing year. So don't get me wrong, Tyreek definitely balled out in KC. But all I'm showing you is the difference is what we needed from Tyreek was the same thing he gave Kansas City at his best. We didn't get see, that's the crazy thing. People don't get that. We didn't get what we expected from Tyreek this year. But it wasn't his fault. We got a lot of yards from him, but we didn't get many points. We didn't get many points. Tons of yards, but not many points. And I'm sorry, you got to get those points. To be force-fed, like, this is what y'all need to realize. Technically, from an efficiency standpoint, Tyreek Hill was more productive in Kansas City. That's why you have to look at ratios. And the ratio you look at is yards per reception. This year was Tyreek's second lowest yards per reception in his career. Why is that? Because we force-fed him the ball. We gave it to him at a rate that he never got it before. And that's how we got up there with the yards. But what it also tells you, for him to have his set, that means he has at least 7 seasons with a greater yards per reception. What that tells you is, if Kansas City threw the ball to Tyreek as much as we did, he would have had more yards with them than he did with us. People act like this is like Tyreek had his best season. No, he didn't. He just had more yards. They just didn't force feed him. They didn't force feed him in Kansas City, which led to him feeling like they needed to give him the ball more. They needed to get him involved more. You heard him complaining about it. Yards per reception is what matters. And when you look at the yards per reception, in his at least 7 seasons with Kansas City, had they targeted him as much as we targeted him, he would have had way more yards with them 7 seasons. And people look at it as if he did something spectacular this year. He could have did that in Kansas City if they would have just threw him the ball as much. Because his yards per reception was higher. He was poised in Kansas City to do even better. But the one thing you can't shake or take away is the fact that he still didn't have the touchdowns we would have liked him to have. $3,000 yards for 2 receivers. Yeah, the QB sucks. Who said that, Paul? Who said that? Yeah, I don't think that means the QB sucks at all. That's actually decent. But I'll tell you this, with Waddle and Tyreek, when you watch the games, let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm tripping. They could have easily had 4,000 yards. Let me say 3,700 yards combined. They could have easily have had 3,700 yards combined. They could have easily had, if you put both of them together, 10 more touchdowns. Am I tripping when I say that? They could have had another 700 yards combined and 10 touchdowns this year? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm just throwing that out there. Am I? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. Do you think they could have had another 700 and 10 touchdowns? Just curious. Wonder what y'all think. You don't think they could have had another 700? Oh, okay. And 10 TDs? Okay. Man, okay, then let's take the yards away. Because we did force feed them anyway. They got the yards. You think they could have had another 10 TDs combined? Do you think they could have had another 10 touchdowns combined? Just curious. 2,000-yard receiver CD? No. I mean, it's possible. If you just play that great and at that high of a level, it's possible. But screw the yards. I feel like we to be kind of honest with you, I feel like we extended the yards anyway from forcing it. So screw the yards. I think we overachieved the yards anyway, the way that we played. But touchdowns. I believe we could have had another 10 touchdowns this year between those two. And I'm going to tell you, another 10 touchdowns makes the difference. All the difference. TD, why don't we give Waddle and Tyreek the ball in the backfield more? Because you need them to do what they're doing as a part of the scheme to stretch the defense. Imagine putting Tyreek in the backfield, then you ain't worrying about Waddle by himself going out there because you could scheme for that. Put Tyreek and put Waddle in the backfield. You ain't worried about Tyreek by himself. You can scheme for that. It's always one of them going deep and one of them crossing deep. And that's what the defense is attempting to be predicated on. Sending somebody full speed deep, got the safety scared bailing, got the corner scared bailing. Then the next guy full speed, get behind the linebackers and have that wide open 20-yard circle in the middle of the field. That's the scheme. That's the goal. Run the little RPO play, and try and hit you with that a few times. That's what the offense is made for. And then you get a sure field 15 to 20-yard comeback, and this and that. That's what our offense is. Y'all know it. Yeah, that's what our offense is. Michael Lukes said, hey, TD, love your insight, but you can find a dark cloud on a sunny day. Good stuff, homie. I mean, if it's a sunny day and there's a little dark cloud up there, then it is what it is. All you got to do is look up. All you got to do is look up. It might be a sunny day, but look at a few dark clouds over there. If it's there, it's there. I mean, what you want me to do? But that dark cloud does stop the day from being a perfect weather day, right? It does stop the day from being a perfectly weathered day. It does. Don't mean we can't have a good day, but you ain't gonna have a perfect day. That's just the reality, man. Nah, close your eyes and pretend nothing is wrong. People are very successful doing that. I mean, they're not successful because the end result, they act like, how did this happen? Fool, even if you close your eyes, you close it for a reason because you saw something you didn't want to see. You saw it. You saw it. Trust me. You saw it. You saw it. You can close your eyes all you want. You already saw it. Now, the truth is you're just ignoring it. TD, week 1 offense better come out gun blazing. Yeah, I just got to see what the schedule look like. Who's the week 1 opponent? That's what I want to know. That's what you got to see. If Vic can get our turnover margin back up on the plus side, this offense is going to put up some scary numbers if we somehow, some way keep 2 on the field. Well, I don't see Vic Fangio's system as a turnover machine. I see his system as a good defense. If we have the right personnel that can execute it properly. I never viewed it as a turnover machine. Yeah, you're going to disguise some coverages and hope that you can get some interceptions that way. But again, I want to see what new wrinkles he make out of it. Because I just played the clip. He just said it out of his own mouth. I kind of wish other teams didn't do it because now other teams get used to it. They figure it out. Because it has been figured out. Everybody who copied off of it last year was trash last year. Because all teams start doing is dinking, dunking, and running. So we got to figure out how to be a good run-stopping team and stop the dinking, dunking in these situations. Because if you look at it, many quarterbacks ain't gunslinging anymore. Y'all notice that? Who are your gunslingers in the NFL that love throwing it deep? You can't say Patrick Mahomes no more because Vic Fangio is the main reason Patrick Mahomes figured out how to optimize his game, because Vic Fangio exposed Patrick Mahomes throwing it deep. And then Patrick Mahomes learned, let it come to me, take what they give me, and now Patrick Mahomes is better than he's ever been. Technically, he's more efficient now. Josh Allen, you'll get quarterbacks like that because they just stubborn. See, if Josh Allen can learn the Patrick Mahomes way, he'll be so much better. But Patrick Mahomes, y'all know how I used to be like, Tua, just put it up there. He don't care who that is Josh Allen like no other. He just going to throw the ball. Only difference with Josh Allen just throwing the ball, he actually processes and looks and see it ain't there and still throw it. That's even worse. I mean, I give you a pass if you just don't process and throw it, like, oh, you got to learn how to process. But he actually processes and throws it. But a lot of these quarterbacks are starting to figure out, I don't have to chuck it deep. Burrow shows you that. Dink and dunk. Herbert is starting to shift into the dink and dunk more instead of taking all the difficult shots. But quarterbacks are stopping that gunslinging stuff. Because Fangio's system was designed to take away the deep ball and make it harder for those gunslinging quarterbacks who can score in 2-3 plays. And now they're starting to say, hey, when we run up against these defenses, like the NFL knows, coaches know, defensive coordinators know, okay, they run the Fangio system. All right, let's put the dink and dunk packages in. Or they keep the same package and be like, hey, don't force anything. If the check down is there, take it. Because this defense is designed to take away what we're looking for. Same playbook, but hey, take the check down. They're more adamant about take the check down because you're going to get a lot of yards after the catch too. A lot of guys are moving in spots trying to confuse you, but they're going away from the defenders. Y'all can go in Patrick Mahomes' little measly 180 yards in the Super Bowl. A lot of times they were running some of that scheme, and you'll see just wide open people all over the place underneath. Underneath people just wide open. Especially in the fourth quarter when they kept breaking down. Man, there were people just wide open everywhere. You ain't never seen a 40-yard comeback like that. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't never seen a 40-yard comeback route, but we run it at least twice a game. Y'all know it. And I told y'all we be running them 40-yard comeback routes. Y'all thought I was just trying to hate. No, we actually run 40-yard comeback routes. Fangio will help out too. I hope so. It's gonna be interesting. It'll make him better if our defense can run it right. You know what I mean? Because again, we don't know. Maybe we determine that we don't have the personnel and we need to get better in the following offseason with the right people. If that's the case, then it ain't really going to help. It's going to be an interesting camp. I'll just put it like that. I feel like this is going to be an interesting camp. Very interesting. Falling better, going through reads, etc. If Tua eats them alive, it will not be a good season. Oh, well, there's a lot of ways to look at it. There's a lot of ways. Like, I would see, that's the tough thing about camp. No matter what happened, it's going to make you concerned, right? So say we're running the ball very well. Fangio's system, rushing forward, disguising coverage, leaves the run lanes because he does an underload instead of overload. He plays the weak side instead of the strong side. So teams do run a lot on Fangio in like the halfback draws and stuff, and there's a lot of success against that defense doing that. So it's going to leave you concerned about our run defense. Then if our run defense plays well, knowing the type of system it is going to make you feel like the run game is, oh, here we go again. If our pass rush is getting there, it's like these guys, are they better or is our O-line so, can't be telling you so much and then it tells you so little sometimes. This is the first year, though, I can say Camp told you everything. Everything I said ended up coming to fruition. What was my Camp's final evaluation? My Camp's final evaluation is we can't run the ball. Certainly not consistently, which we didn't run the ball very well at all. We were like 26 or something, and that was pretty much 4 games that we had success running the ball. I told you all that we don't have an organic pass rush, which we just didn't for about 90% of the season. I told y'all if any defense plays zone, Tua will be MVP level. He gonna shred them apart. Exactly. I said I didn't see any, and if our defense plays zone, they gonna absolutely get shredded. What else did I say? Said Melvin Ingram was a dog. He started out on fire, then he went missing. Did he get hurt or something I ain't remembering? Maybe that's what it was. I told y'all the right tackle was a problem, and the interior was an issue, and the snaps were an issue. That all ended up being the case. I ain't mad at Connor Williams, though. Connor Williams, to me, I feel like had a good enough season. That's what I would have wanted him to have. It was definitely a good enough season. High snaps, but those things all could be fixed. But yeah, that's pretty much the biggest gist of it all. But yeah, somebody said you're overanalyzing. Fill me in, bro. Tell me what I'm overanalyzing. Fill me in on that. I'm always open to hear what's being overanalyzed. Oh man, what is that? But yeah, yep, to an arm, not strong, TD. It's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, that's an old narrative that doesn't even matter. Everybody's come to the conclusion Tua doesn't have a strong arm. There's other quarterbacks that don't have a strong arm. Okay? He doesn't have a strong arm. He doesn't have a cannon. He doesn't have great arm strength. But can he throw the football? He can throw the football. Yeah. I just got an update from Bleacher Report. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers plan on absorbing the entire $35 million cap hit for Tom Brady this year. And people say there ain't no windows. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have decided to absorb the entire $35 million cap hit for Brady this year. Which means they understand that they're not going to be great this year. which means they understand that they're not, they're $35 million already. They don't want to spread it out because they want to minimize the bad period. You see what I mean? They could have spread it out 15, 17 for the next 2 years or something like that. But they like, man, just absorb it all now. We ain't going to be great this year anyway. Take the cap hit now. Have a solid roster that can hopefully win us 6 games or be competitive and get a decent draft pick, and let's move forward. We accomplished what we set out to accomplish, and that was to win a Super Bowl, and they did. That's how it works. And that's smart of them. Take on the hit now, all of it. Don't spread it out. Just concede the season, basically. Now they're going to go back to normal and suck again. Maybe not. You don't know. I mean, they can get out of this situation in a year or two, and then all of a sudden start spending money again. They out of the hole and try to lure somebody over there. Or finally draft a legitimate quarterback. You never know. Or Kyle Trask, see if he's good enough. Time will tell. TD, do you think Carr ends up with the Jets? There's a strong possibility because it'll be their cheapest option. Because, like, I was going to do a stream about the Jets, but I'll talk about it now. It's very interesting, that Jets situation, because they just decided they're about to bring Carr in and talk to him. I just saw that report came out. The Jets are bringing Derek Carr in to talk to him, right? It's the most profitable thing for him because everybody's saying the Jets are the front runners for Aaron Rodgers, and it will include the 13th overall pick. Well, I feel like the Jets have a great defense, y'all. I feel like they got some really good young receivers. They have a really good O-line if they're healthy. They already got their running back. They need a quarterback and a tight end. And to me, it's like, go get Derek Carr, and you get to keep your number 13 overall pick. Sign a guy like Mike Gesicki. You see what I mean? The Jets can literally go get Derek Carr, sign a Mike Gesicki, and still utilize their 13th overall pick for whatever they want. It might even be another top receiver. I don't know. You might look up and Devontae Adams end up in New York. Because they talk about they don't know if they're going to keep Devontae Adams now in Las Vegas. And that 13th overall pick might very well get it done. So could you imagine, and I know y'all say, oh, well, him and Carr didn't do nothing this year. We got to stop with these false narratives. The biggest issue over in Vegas this year was their defense. Now, did their offense do as good as you'd hope they do? I honestly didn't see the big issue that everybody make it out to be. Let me pull some stuff up for y'all and show you. Let me pull some stuff up for y'all real quick and show y'all. Who had 14 TDs? I didn't even know Devontae Adams had 14 touchdowns. And he had 1,500 yards. Again, the narrative about Derek Carr and didn't do nothing with weapons is actually ridiculous. Waller couldn't stay healthy. Luckily, they had running back help. But I'm going to be honest, it's just absolutely ridiculous. This was Devontae Adams' second best season of his career. Matter of fact, I argue it was his best because he had 3 more touchdowns than the other one. He averaged more yards per reception. This was his best season in the NFL with Derek Carr. This was his best season, as a matter of fact. When I'm looking at the stats now, Devontae Adams had his best season as an NFL pro. And with all them years with Aaron Rodgers, this is his best season. Best season. Highest yards per reception in his career, 15.2. 14 freaking touchdowns. 1,516 yards. 100 receptions. So I've already done my research to figure out why in the heck they didn't work. And everything is right with the defense. Y'all got to go. I'm pulling it up now. Let me share screen. All these false lying narratives, man. And I'm sorry, when your offense is down because your defense sucks so much, I see why Derek Carr got interceptions. Now, don't get me wrong. You still can't throw them picks like that. You got to do better than that. But let's not sit here and be delusional, man. You need to look at all the facts instead of listening to these people. And let me tell you something about Derek Carr. He is a lot more mobile than people give him credit for. He actually moves. He can get in and out of the pocket. All right, let me pull this up. Let me give a bigger view. All right, NFL rankings. Let me go by team. Rankings comparison. Let me go more rankings. No. Let me pick me a team. Let me see where the Las Vegas Raiders. All right. Yeah, this is it, but I also want the I want the rank. I need the rankings, not just the stats. Yeah, give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Now, I'm going to show y'all something, right? Who got the better offense, the Miami Dolphins or the Las Vegas Raiders on paper? Who got the better offense on paper? I have to ask y'all that. Who got the better offense on paper? Don't screw this up, y'all. Anybody that say Raiders, y'all need to go get checked. You need to go get checked. We have the better offense on paper, period, okay? All right? Who's the better receiver? I'm just curious. I ain't finna argue with nobody. Who's the better receiver, Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams? I ain't talking about this year and what they did, but who's just generally the better receiver? I'm just curious what y'all think. Me personally, I'm the type of person that kind of washes them. But Devontae Adams, if you ask me, has a slight edge, but I put both of them in the same tier. Now let's go to the number 2. Who got the better number 2? Who has the better number 2 wide receiver? Raiders or Dolphins? Let me blow this up. Waddle, right? Waller was hurt a lot in the season. So, and Mike Gesicki, so it's hard to even talk about the difference between them. Now, they're going to have the better run game. They got the much better running back, okay? O-line overall, well, we'll talk about it. But look, anyway, let's go through this. This is the Raiders. These are their rankings on offense, right down this middle. Look at the middle. Points per game, they were 13th. Where is that bad? 13th in points per game? As a matter of fact, I'm sorry. I also need to pull up the Dolphins. I'm going to pull up the Dolphins as well. Y'all give me a second so I can compare it. And we were a better offense this year than them, but putting things into perspective. All right, Miami. Okay. Team stats. All right. So look, points per game. They were 13th with 23.2. We were 11th at 23.8. That ain't much of a difference. Carr and those boys were still putting up points. Yards per game. They were 12th at 352. We were 8th at 357. We're talking about 5 more yards per game is a 4-place difference. This is offense, y'all. Points per play. They were number 12. We were number 7. Because they had a better run game, they ran the ball more. Obviously, they used more plays. Yards per play. They were number 7. We were number 3. They were 5.7 yards per play. We were 6. A 0.3 difference. Third down conversion. They were 16th. We were 24th. They executed better on third down, but we know that because we struggle on third down, especially later in the season. That was one of our quarterback's biggest areas of improvement. Fourth down. They were 9th in the NFL. We are 11th. These teams ain't far off in how they perform this year. Red zone scoring. They're 26th. This is where the biggest issue came because we're number 10 in red zone scoring. So them scoring in the red zone, that's where they had a big area of improvement. But one of the biggest areas you got to look at is touchdowns per game. Remember, it's about TDs and not yards, y'all. They were number 12 in the NFL at 2.5. We were number 9 at 2.7. These teams are not far at all. Their offense was just as good as ours. Slightly less, and mainly because of the red zone conversion. Not much of a difference at all. Now watch this. This is where some of y'all get the whole game twisted. Because I know we not great, but watch this. And by the way, I forgot how many games did they win, by the way? Because I forgot how many games they won. I'll have to go look at it. Because I remember they actually fought themselves back into playoff contention at one point. All right, so let's do this. Here we go. Now the important part is let's look at the defense, people. 24.6 points per game made them 26th. Do you see that? The difference is 1.4 points a game. Their defense gives up 1.4 more points a game than their offense gets. And you look at the Miami Dolphins, we were 24th in points given up at 24.1, but the difference is 0.3. 0.3. And what y'all need to realize is, had our defense given up 24.1, we might have had 2 more losses on our record. A whole 1.3. An entire 1.3 points. Yards per game. They're 27th. 27th in the NFL in yards per game given up. We were 19th. Our defense was 19th. Ain't great, but it's way better than the Raiders. Opponents' points per play. They were 28th. We were 23rd. Opponent's yards per play, they were 27th. We were 14th. Third down conversion, they were 25th. We were 26th. Similar. Fourth down conversion, they were 20th. We were 13th. Our defense rocked it on fourth down. Opposing red zone scoring percentage, they were 31st. We were 24th. Opposing touchdowns per game, they were 27th. We were 24th. Just like our defense had their issues, their defense had it worse. Their defense had it worse. Rushing statistics. I ain't looking at the rushing play percentage. They run the ball 40% of the time. 19th in the league. That doesn't matter. Rushing yards per rush, number 7 in the NFL. They had a top 10 running game. Rushes per game, they were 21st in the league. Rushing yards per game, they were 17th. They didn't even get many. They just had a good yards per carry, but they didn't even get as many rushing yards as a top 10 team. So it wasn't yards for them. It was rushes per. Honestly, they should have ran the ball more. That's what it tells you. To be 7th in yards per rush, you should have ran the ball more. Rushing touchdowns, they were 24th. In the defense actually wasn't terrible. They were just below average in rushing D. But this is where it matters most. Passing offense. Pass play 60% of the time. Average in the league. Completion percentage, this was one of Derek Carr's lower years at 61%, is 27th in the league. This is where he struck. This is where it hurt him this year. But when you go watch the film, you may understand why. Passing yards, yards per pass, 11th. Excuse me, I feel like I got to sneeze, but I don't. Passing yards a game, 11th. Passes per game, 13th. Interceptions thrown, he was 28th, and that's where it hurt the most. QB sacked, he was number 8th in the NFL with sacks. So he was under pressure a lot, obviously. I can't wait for the advanced stats to come. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is why the Raiders were just absolute boo-boo trash this year. Look at their passing defense. Opposing completion percentage, they were 30th in the NFL. They allowed the third most highest completion percentage in the NFL. Almost 68% completion percentage of any quarterback they play. This is why they were no good this year. Opposing yards per pass, 27th in the league. Passes per game, 21st. Now watch this. Opponents passing yards a game, 29th. They were 29th in the league. Only three teams gave up more passing yards. And we know that was the Lions, most of the teams we played in that win streak. Opponents' interceptions thrown, 31st. Rarely got them. Only 1%. 31st only getting turnovers. Interceptions, not fumbles. 31st in the NFL in interceptions. Only one team got less. One out of every 100 passes, they got a pick. In sacks, 30th in the league. They got less sacks than 29 other teams. Trash. Straight trash. And we want to sit here, oh, Derek Carr trash. He had all them weapons and didn't do nothing. He had all them weapons and ain't do nothing. They brought Devontae Adams for him and he ain't do nothing. Devontae Adams had a career year. Now, the even this is opponent's field goal conversion percent. Now, they were number 1 in the NFL on special teams because their opponents had the least percentage of field goals made. So that's pretty dope. But yeah. It's just bad, man. Penalties. Look at this. Oh, man, I ain't looking at Look at this. The offense. Penalties. Penalties per play. 31st in the league. Penalties per game. 30th in the league. Penalty yards per game. 30th in the league. Penalty yards per penalties. 17. They were an undisciplined team. They got penalties. And we know 9 times out of 10 that probably came from the O-line. Basically, they were one of the most penalized team on offense in the NFL. So you know their down and distance always had an issue. And we're going to talk, oh, he had 14 picks. Okay, I don't excuse that. That's unacceptable no matter what the circumstance is for me. But at the same token, look at what's happening on the team. Look at what's happening on the team. I mean, truth be told, Tua was on pace for what? 12, 13? So, this whole narrative about Derek Carr, I'm sorry. I just never listened to people making that case of why he was bad this year. Back to the subject at hand, though. The Jets, I'm starting to feel like they would be better off going with Derek Carr instead of Aaron Rodgers because they'd be able to keep their number 13 overall pick and he's going to be cheaper. It's going to give you the most flexibility to add additional complementary pieces. And that's what I'm worried about. See, Aaron Rodgers, they're going to get rid of that 13th pick, so we ain't got to worry about whoever that guy going to be on the field. They're going to spend most of their money. And it's still dangerous with Rodgers, but I feel like that's a better chance. It ain't like Aaron Rodgers went out there and had a much better season than Derek Carr did anyway. At least it don't feel like it. Since we judging off one seasons around here. Look at this, man. Aaron Rodgers played 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Aaron Rodgers played all 17 games and threw for 3,700 yards. He did not have a better season than Derek Carr, pretty much. I mean, overall, maybe you could argue that, but they basically were the same guys. Derek Carr, if he would have played all 17 games, his average was going to come up to 4,000 instead of 36 or whatever it was, because he missed the last 2 games because they didn't want to play him. He was going to come up to 4,000 yards. Aaron Rodgers threw for 3,700. Aaron Rodgers had 12 picks, 2 less than Carr. 26 touchdowns, 2 more than Carr. And this is also one of Aaron Rodgers' worst years in the NFL when you look at it across the board. I actually, as a Dolphins fan, would prefer the Jets to get Aaron Rodgers over Derek Carr, because I feel like Derek Carr is still going to do his job, and it ain't going to be much less of a level than Aaron Rodgers that's worth it. And they get to keep the number 13 overall pick. In the process, they may be able to save $20 million per year. So if they do get in one of these good quarterbacks, I actually, as a Dolphin fan, prefer them to get Rodgers. I would be a little more concerned if they got Carr, because he's going to do his job, but they're able to add even more on that roster around him. They'll have more picks and money. And the Jets are in a situation where this is a perfect time to go for broke. I take that number 13 overall pick, go get Devontae Adams. Take the money that I saved on not getting Rodgers and getting Carr, and go get Mike Gesicki. Man, I ain't even going to sit here and lie to y'all. Come on. Like, be honest, Dolphin fans. I know we going to say it don't, but would that not concern you? Devontae Adams just had a career year under Derek Carr. You add Carr, Rodgers, and a Mike Gesicki with Breece Hall, and that defense is already stacked, and that O-line that could be elite if they stay healthy. Be honest, Dolphin fans. Would that not be a concern? A major one? Their roster would be more loaded than ours from top to bottom, and that is a fact. That is a fact. Carr can't win with Tay, Waller. Yeah, he can. All these people you name it, yes, he can. He can win with them. Problem is the defense. The problem is simply the defense. When your defense giving up 25 points a game, that's not good at all. But I'm curious what y'all think about that kind of team, though. The young receivers they got now with a Mike Gesicki and Devontae Adams and a Derek Carr. Man, I don't care. I don't care how much biasness you want to add. They probably would be better than Buffalo at that point. They probably would be better than Buffalo. I hope they get Aaron Rodgers at this point, because they're going to get one of the top guys. I think that's a give-in at this point. I hope they get Aaron Rodgers at this point. No, not with Mike G. I'm just saying, I think they could do better at tight end. Mike G going to be out there. He going to be available. Somebody going to get him. And you don't think the Jets and the Patriots and even Buffalo ain't eyeing Mike G? That's number one. That's the ultimate inside information. Especially on Mike McDaniel. One of the AFC East teams are going to bring Mike Gesicki in to talk to him and see if they can sign him. Whether he goes there or not, I don't know. But one of them teams will, probably all three going to try to talk to him. Mike Gesicki would help all three of them teams. The only one that he's least likely to go to is the Patriots, because they got tight ends. The Jets or Buffalo, I'm telling you now, you better look out for both of those teams going to throw Mike Gesicki a bag. The Jets or the Bills may look to throw him a bag. And don't sit here and tell me Mike Gesicki ain't going to tell them all they need to know about our offense. I mean, it's easy to figure out, but the small little wrinkles. I'll be very sad if that happened. Yeah, I hope he go to the NFC, personally. Hope he ends up in the NFC, make some money, and go have some fun. Man, somebody said, I hope they do take Gesicki. He's slow, weak, can't block, and occasionally get hit in the face with the ball. I mean, Mike Gesicki go to the right quarterback. Mike Gesicki might even make the Pro Bowl. Y'all might see a whole new transformed Gesicki next year, depending on where he go. Depending on where he goes. I don't care what nobody say. I know Mike Gesicki is a good tight end. Now, he can't block to save his life, but we already know that. But as a playmaker and a weapon offensively, receiving the ball, Mike Gesicki is a great receiver at the tight end position. We know his flaw, and that's what makes him not an elite tight end overall. But as a catcher and a playmaker, he's as good as they come. He just don't get as many targets. He don't get as many targets and opportunities. Somebody going to bring that man in, utilize him the right way, and he going to eat. Somebody going to bring him in and say, we don't care about blocking. We're going to line you up right on that line when we want to throw you the ball. It is what it is. Time will tell. We'll see. But yeah, again, I saw that report, Carr going to the Jets to have some discussions. All I can say is I wonder what kind of money they going to, if he goes there, what kind of money they going to give him. All of that stuff. Yeah, he visited him this week, so obviously this weekend going to be Carr weekend in New York. Man. Oh, boy. I couldn't imagine losing to the Jets twice. I couldn't imagine it. Just be hurtful. You know what's crazy? What I'm seeing right now? That's okay, baby. When you look at Derek Carr's interceptions, man, it looks like hold on. Was it like that? Derek Carr just pretty much had a really bad he had a really bad November and December. Not bad, but from an interception standpoint. He threw 9 of his 14 interceptions in the last 5 games. Yep, he threw 9 of them in the last 5 games. And then the first week of the season versus the Chargers, he threw 3. That's 12 interceptions in 6 games. 2 more picks out there. But he actually has 7 games of no interceptions. 7 games of no picks. So when he threw them in bunches. Yep, he threw them in bunches. So I would have to actually look at most of them games and see how it was going. If they were down big and he just keep on gunslinging trying to bring them back, I don't know. I would have to see. Change the back end of the defense. To be fair, most of his weapons were hurt and his coach was an idiot. Are you talking about Derek Carr? Carr is the most overrated name in free agency. He is not and then it cuts off. I disagree. I think the value is right there. See, the problem with Carr is, here's the deal. Would y'all be okay if you had a quarterback who was the 12th best quarterback in the NFL every year? This is what it comes down to. Would you be okay with a quarterback who's the 12th best quarterback in the NFL every year? I'm not sure what the answer to that is. I'm just asking y'all. With that kind of quarterback. Any answers? Yeah, with the good defense. You know, that's always the debacle, because here's my rule of thumb, right? First of all, you got to be top 14, but you also got to have like a historic defense or a historic run game, and I'm fine with it. If you don't have a historic defense or a historic run game, you got to be top 8. Y'all see how that works? That's what I believe. You can be top 14 if you either have a historic run game or historic defense. Now, if you got one of those and not the other, then you could be top 11. If you don't have either of those, you need to be a top 8 quarterback. That's how I feel with it. That's how I feel. Now, Derek Carr has perennially been a top 12 quarterback. Every year, he ain't dropping lower than 12. And I think y'all should, if you want to be honest and stop hating on him, you can at least agree with that. Every year, he is a top 12 quarterback. And yeah, this year, maybe you could debate it, but he probably still made top 12. But also, look at his entire career. What true weapons has he had his entire career? And then the first year he get true weapons, half of them aren't healthy, and the one that is healthy the whole season had his best season as a pro. Davante Adams had his best season as a pro, and this is the beautiful thing about Davante Adams' best season. He did it with 100 receptions. He did it with 100 receptions. Some of y'all may not understand where I'm coming from with that, but that's huge. 15 point something yards per catch, and you did it with 100 receptions, 1,600 yards. That means they didn't force feed you the ball as much. Still got a lot, but they didn't force feed it. But for all them other guys to be hurt in and out, that's amazing. Tyreek Hill had 120. And his guys were, Waddle didn't miss a game. And he had 120. But for Davante Adams to only have 100 catches and still put up 1,600 yards with guys missing, that's high level efficiency and great execution without force feeding. Literally, 6 catches a game? Beautiful. Hey, mama. But yeah, but I'm sorry, Derek Carr is always a 12. But he did have, about 4 years ago, he had his best season where he was the 3rd or 4th ranked quarterback in the NFL. Y'all got to go look at it. I forgot what year it was, 19 or 21, one of them years. But he was actually the 3rd or 4th best quarterback in the NFL. Go look at the numbers. I'll tell you no lie. I'm not exaggerating and making it up. He was ranked the 3rd or 4th best quarterback in the NFL. And when you go look at the numbers, you'll see why. Let me just identify what year it was. All right, that was. Actually, I'm looking at 2 years in a row. 2019 and 2020. 2021, he just put up a whole bunch of yards, but it wasn't as impressive as the other 2 years. 2019 and 2020. 70% completion, 67% completion, 4,100 yards each year, and these are your 16-game seasons, not 17. 27 touchdowns, 9 picks, 21 touchdowns, 8 picks. Then the following years, 68% completion, 4,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, but the same 14 picks. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, y'all. We got to keep our eye on this because y'all know me. I'm not one of those people that just pay attention to the Dolphins. You got to look at what's happening around the entire NFL so that you can gauge how you're going to stack up. TD, I'm tired of people always wanting history to repeat itself, like wanting the old Miami defense from the early 2000s. How about we create a better one this time? Tell people to let go of the past. Bro, it's going. Hey, at the end of the day, people like what they like. People like what they like. They like what they like, bro. Ain't no escaping that. There ain't no escaping it. Time will tell, man. I'm going to tell y'all this, too. If the Jets get Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots don't reach out to get whoever they don't get. Because at that point, having Josh Allen and either one of those guys in the division, the Patriots also know. Man, at that point, man, you can keep on going down the Mac train, but man, tough. Time will tell. Anywho, we about an hour and a half in. That's my time. That's my time. But Fangio did make me happy with his press conference. If you gotten here late, go check that out. It's early in the video. But yeah, I'm happy about everything Fangio said in the presser, man. But love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. I don't think I'll be live again tonight unless it's breaking news. Unless later tonight I play a little Madden against some of y'all. I don't know. It just depends. We'll see. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Fans up no matter what. Peace. I am out. Say bye, baby girl. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Yeah. All right, y'all. Love y'all, guys.